Hi, and thanks for watching. In 2014, I put a video out on my um, military medium Molly rucksack from BAA Systems. I was training for the Bataan Memorial Death March, and I'm proud to say that I did participate. I did complete the march, had a great time doing it. It was a wonderful personal challenge. For 2016, I'm going to do it again. I liked it that much. But I wanted to share with you some of the things I've learned, some of the things I'll be doing different this time, how I set up my bag, and what I'm carrying in the ruck itself. And hopefully this helps some of you who are also training or planning to train for upcoming Bataan Memorial Death March events. So let's get started. As I mentioned, this is the medium Molly rucksack from BAA Systems. All the information about this particular rucksack is on one of my previous videos. I do have a battle belt that is put on here, attached with the regular belt that's here, through this channel and out the other side. The battle belt just adds a little bit more padding and a little bit more support. I like to cinch that down really tight on my hips, so I'm trying to carry most of the weight on my hips. This time for the event, I'm going to be doing running and hiking fast. So my goal is around a sub 7 hour time, which for me is I think achievable. I'm hoping that my legs and body keep up with that thought in my brain, but we'll see how that goes. I did move some of my pouches around from the last time. I've moved the larger pouches off a little bit more to the side and moved the smaller grenade pouches up to the front, so that way I can have a little bit better access on the front. It would seem to be a little bit better with this setup. I still have my iPad Shuffle, which I love. This is wonderful. I have another video on how I built this. This is a individual grenade pouch with a Velcro clip that houses my earphones, which are over the ear, so that way I don't have any problem with sweating. One of the things I learned is that my ears would sweat with the earplugs in, and whenever I had to remove them as I was coming up on either other hikers or going into the water stations so I could hear things, sometimes the little buds would pop off and stay in my ear. So I did not really like that, so I went with the over ear, and I like that much better. One of the biggest things I've done is moved the water to a different pouch, and switch this around for a second. In the past, I had the water in this top pocket, which worked out pretty well, but it did put a lot of the weight out further from my back. So what I've done recently is I decided to put the water in the main pouch, which I believe is what its intended purpose was. And let me show you kind of what I have in here. This is just a jacket that I'm going to be wearing first thing in the morning. It is a little bit chilly, and so I'll be wearing that as I'm waiting in the pen to start. You definitely need something because it can be in the 50s and you're standing kind of waiting and your body couldn't get cold. So I'm going to wear that, and I'll put it in my pack and I'll hike with that for the entire race. So that's counted as part of my weight. What I did is I actually hooked some paracord into this particular pocket here, and hooked it into a platypus, and using a carabiner to kind of clip this in, and then I fed it down. So let me unhook this and pull this out so you can see what this looks like. This is a 1.5 liter Big Zip LP, which is low profile, and what that does is it does have a welded seam, I guess, in the middle here that helps keep this as low profile as possible. What I found is that 1.5 liters was plenty of water to bring with me. In fact, I'm not actually going to be bringing water with me. I'm actually going to be using Pedialyte, and I'll show you that in a second. What I learned was that there was plenty of water stations. There was no need to carry excessive amounts of water, and that when I needed water as I take water as I pass through all the watering stations, and I was going to be using the water bladder that I'm carrying to wash down or rinse out from eating the goo or the power bars that I was consuming along the way. If I do need to refill this for some reason, Pedialyte would be in here first, and I need to refill it. This is a quick disconnect, which is really super. I can easily get to this. I can quick disconnect this. Even one-handed I can do that. And I don't have to mess with how I've lashed the tubing down onto my shoulder pads. So that's the Big Zip LP. Put that to the side. The other change that I had to make, and this is going to be weird maybe, but last time I did the event we drove across country in an RV. It was a wonderful experience, but this time I'm flying. And so I had my backpack set up exactly the way I wanted it, dialed it all in, but realizing that I had to fly, I'm going to be using this bag as my carry-on, or not my carry-on, but my checked-in luggage with all my actual clothes in it and things that I'm going to need. When I get to the site for the marathon, I will be going and purchasing what I have in here now is dog food. So these are, I have, not one-handed. Okay, so this is a 5-pound bag of dog food. I'm hoping I can find something very similar to this in New Mexico. And what I've done is I've stacked them in here, each way, alternating so that one end is a little bit on this side, then the next one, the top is on this side. These are not really vacuum sealed. They're kind of vacuum sealed, but they're not totally vacuum sealed. So the dog food does move around and will move and kind of distribute its weight back. So I try to make it as even as possible for balancing purposes. This one is just one of the 5 that are in here. So that's 25 pounds of dog food in here, plus the weight of the pack itself, plus all the items that I will be carrying with this. Comes up to about, I think this is right now 36 pounds, which is perfect because I need 35 minimum. Okay, so that's what's inside the pack. And then at the end of the race, I can take this dog food and donate it to, I know they have a local food bank that they use, so I'll be doing that so that I can come home without all the extra weighted dog food. Okay. The other thing that I have done, I have in here, and this is hard with one hand, so I apologize again for moving around, but this pocket is empty. I can do one of 2 things with this pocket. I can put the black jacket in this pocket if I feel that there's not enough space up here. I find there's enough space, but just in case if on race day for some reason I can't get the water bladder and the jacket in here at the same time, I can always put it in this pocket here, so that's what I'm doing. I'm also carrying a pair of extra socks. I didn't need them in the last marathon, but because I am running some of this, my feet are sweating a lot more. I just want to have an insurance policy in case I just need to change out my socks for some reason. These are right sock mid-weights. These are the no blister double layered running, and I really like these very much, and I definitely have gotten some good use out of them. This is a new pair that I just bought, and I'll be trying these out this weekend. So I'm going to throw these in here, and that's the compartments. That's all the pockets. The other thing that I've determined that I wanted to do is to cinch up the sides. Because the dog food didn't fit as well as everything else that I had balanced in here, I found that I wanted to bring it a little bit towards my back. So what I did was I used some Coyote Brown paracord and laced this up like you would a shoelace all the way up to the top here. I've got a knot in here that's kind of tucked away, and just kind of using it right now. I will remove this when I travel, that way I can fit all my clothes and things in here. But for race day, I'll cinch that back up. It's kind of like a shoelace, exactly, and it brings everything together and holds it tight, which then keeps this pocket very, very taut. You have to be careful though, because this will, it's very kind of leaning over sometimes, especially if the water is in the pocket here. So anyway, that is what I've done to modify the pack now. That's the contents of the pack and the water bladder. Now I'm going to show you the things that I'll be traveling with, some of the consumables and items that I'll be carrying with me in the pockets. So let me come over here. So first things first, this is the Pedialyte. That is a 50-liter bladder, so it's 1 and almost a half of these containers. I won't be traveling with this. I'll just pick it up when I get to the location. But the Pedialyte really helps for cramping. It's better than just straight water because water is available on the course, like I said earlier. They also have Gatorade or Powerade, I believe, that they give. So with the Pedialyte, it's definitely something that I find works for me to help avoid cramping. Okay, the next items here, these are, in the last video, these are very similar to what I had in the last video. Less goo this time because I'm going to be going less hours, and less food because I'm going less hours. So for the goo, I find that every six miles I'll be taking one of these goos, and I have all of them are caffeinated this time. So because I'm not doing it every 4 miles, I'm doing it every 6. The caffeination is okay for me. I've tried this out many times over the course of training, and this is what works best for me. The food, I find that every 8 miles I need something to eat. So this is 8, at 16, and at 24. I can even move this down if I find it needs to be 7, 14, and 21. I could certainly do that. The good thing is that food is definitely needed. You should have something with you because you will have nothing left in the tank essentially as you're coming back down the mountain. So this is my medical area, just Carmex for my lips because it is, last 2 times I've done this it was very windy and very dry. You are in New Mexico, and for me it's a different environment, different area, and I need that for my lips to keep them moisturized. The other thing is I'm using this sunscreen lotion. Definitely need sunscreen. I'm not wearing a hat, and my bald head would say that I should, but really for me wearing a hat makes me very hot. So my goal is, again, under 7 hours. I'm hoping to be off the course by 2, and I'll use the sunscreen liberally on my head and on my arms. And then I have just some athletic tape. This is just in case. I really am not getting too many blisters at all. I get some little hot spots, but at 20 miles now training, I don't have any serious blisters at all. My feet are kind of adjusted. So just in case, though, I want to have some of this tape available. The other part of the medical is I have acetaminophen and naproxen sodium, which are the blue tablets. I would take one of the naproxen and 2 of the acetaminophen early, and then I have those just in case if I go way beyond 7 hours for some reason, that I could also take later on in the race if necessary. They don't weigh very much, so as an insurance policy I keep that. The other thing I learned is that chewing gum helps generate saliva, and I feel like when I'm chewing gum I can go a few miles actually without having to use any of the Pedialyte or drink anything, especially if I'm already hydrated to begin with to start the race. This helps postpone the consumption of the Pedialyte until later on in the race when it's warmer, when I'm exhausted, and when the level of effort is significant. So gum, 3 pieces I think is more than enough. It also helps freshen your breath after eating the power bars and eating the goo, because that's just the goo is just disgusting. I just kind of tolerate it though. The other things I'll be carrying is my wallet and my phone. Because these are not consumables, they count towards the weight of the pack, and with those in there, again, I get up to about 36 pounds. So that's what I have.